Slecht da, Eubinaken. Welcome to podcast number 191. So, since I spoke to you last week, we had a few funerals on Friday, actually. Friday was a busy day. First of all, we had Arthur's funeral, which was a very sad affair, really, but a lovely service there with a lovely crowd at the crematorium at Glyn Valley. And then Norman's funeral as well, but that was at Penmount as well. Another lovely service, all went well there. So that was two of the funerals we had. Another funeral we had on Friday was Gary's funeral, Gary from St. Tudy. And we knew it was going to be a big one because Gary, well, he was St. Tudy. That was it. If you wanted to find anything out, any info at all, you just had to speak to Gary. And it was such a big funeral. We had the PA set up outside, and it was a good job we did because there was no way that everybody could get into church. And we had a brilliant service there too. So it was three lovely services, different locations. So it does, you've got to work out your logistics a little bit, but all was well. And then we was at the Queen's Head in the evening at St. Stephen's. For our mate Al for his 70th birthday party. And what a crowd was there too. It was brilliant. Lovely to catch up with some familiar faces. A lot of undertakers there. So I didn't get a chance to speak to all of them actually. But, it was a brilliant evening. Absolutely brilliant. And then on to Saturday. Well, of course, the weekend was a bank holiday weekend. And usually I love bank holiday weekends because it just gives me that extra little time off, which I don't normally get. But it went a bit wrong this weekend, I'll tell you, because Saturday we was right on. We had a service at our chapel in the morning, and that was for John. A lovely crowd there. And we had the wake upstairs afterwards too, which works really well, I always think. And it's such a relaxed atmosphere at our chapel. But that went really well. I say, then we had the wake. And then in the afternoon, we had Tony's funeral at Eglesale. So young, Tony, a lot younger than me. Again, a wonderful crowd there too. And it just makes you think, the fact that we conducted Tony's funeral. Well, I can remember doing both his mum and his dad's funeral and also some of his grandparents. It makes you think then, crumbs, that's the third generation of a family that we've, looked after. It just makes you realise how time is flying by. But I say all was well there, apart from the rain. We did get a bit wet, I must admit, but all was good there. So then I said to Beth, right, so now I've got Sunday and Monday. I'm going to treat that. This is where my weekend starts. And basically, I would say for a big chunk of Sunday and a big chunk of Monday, I did paperwork. I think by the end of the weekend, I had caught up because I was a bit behind with me paperwork. But it's like this week, we've been fairly quiet. So you think, brilliant. I got a full day today with just one funeral or whatever. I think, I can get on and crack on, but it never goes that way because the phone's going, there's people coming in. You're being pulled in all different directions, which is a bit crazy, really. So, I do work from home if I can at the weekends doing paperwork, and it don't feel quite so much like work. I have music on in the background or something like that. So that was really my weekend. We saw all three grandsons, which was brilliant. And then on Sunday, we had our 70th birthday party of the weekend, and that was Martin. And that was up at the Scout Hut there in Weybridge. And again, a brilliant turnout. It was brilliant to see so many faces. Hang of a blooming hailstorm and rain at one part of it there. And I don't know if it's a galvanized roof or anything, but for 10 minutes, you couldn't hear yourself speak. It was that much of a downpour, which was a bit of a pity as well, because it was the big lunch, as they call it, in Moulter Street. And I think that cleared the tables. I think that drove them all into the pubs or drove them home. But we had a good day and a good afternoon up there with Martin. And I say that then again, that was Sunday. And then Monday, back to the paperwork again. So we're now on a 4-day week this week, which usually means you've got just the same amount of funerals, only squeezed into a shorter time. And it was even shorter as well for the fact that Tuesday afternoon, we had the afternoon off. And that was, we was down at St. Michael's Church there down at Perthilly for Faye and Ben's wedding. And we were some lucky with the weather. It was beautiful. The sun was shining. It was handsome. Church was full. I met Craig. He took the service. And all was brilliant. Back St. Moritz afterwards. It was a good afternoon, a good evening. But we did have other funerals in the morning. We had a private funeral first thing. And then also our vehicles were out on hire, which they were a bit this week, actually. Our vehicles have been here, there and everywhere, with a few of our bearers going out as well. So it has been a busy time. Even though ourselves, we've been a bit quieter this week. I know one funeral we did today was dear Gordon's funeral, and well in his 90s, but the church was really full. It was brilliant, and the sun again was shining today. I've just this minute actually put a couple photos up of St. Merrin Church. One, as we call it, the Padstow Pride. I don't know what the proper name is for the pinky flowers there that grow up in the wild here in Cornwall. We call it Padstow Pride. And then also one looking out of the church into the churchyard. But I say we had a brilliant service there, really did. So all was well. So we're going on in a minute to my interview for this week with Ken Roberts. Now, Ken lived a lot of his life in Bodmin, which you will hear over the next couple of weeks. But I do get emails, as I've said to you before, people listen to this all over the world. And I get emails from people saying, well, you mention all these names of towns and that. Can you give us a bit of background on them? And I usually forget to do it, but I've remembered today. So I thought what I would do, I'd just look back and just give you a little bit of history of Bodmin. Now, Bodmin, we mean Wadebridge, which is about 5 or 6 miles away from Bodmin. And my father was actually brought up in there. Father, as you might know, he was born at Besneaves, near Withiel. And when he was 4 or 5, they all moved into Bodmin, me nan and my granddad and father. So if you leave Bodmin and just go a mile or two up the road, you're on Bodmin Moor, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard before. And I mean, that goes back, well, prehistoric times, Bronze Age kind of thing. There's standing stones up there, stone circles, burial chambers, and lots of them are still there today. It's a fantastic place to actually have a geck if you're up walking around that way. And also legends. I mean, there's talk of ghosts, giants, smugglers. King Arthur is tied up there as well. And of course, the Beast of Bodmin Moor. So you've got loads of history and legend and everything just a mile or two up the road. I think looking back at the history, I think Bodmin really became known as a town when Christianity came along. And St. Petroc, early 6th century, he established a monastery here in Bodmin. And of course, Cornwall was so different back then. We all spoke Cornish. We're not many of us speak Cornish now. Most of the local rulers were actually Cornish kings. So it was a completely different world. Very strong Celtic tradition as well. Then going on a bit further, even in the Domesday Book, which was 1086, Bodmin was noted as one of the most important towns in Cornwall. And its importance continued. So it became one of Cornwall's coinage towns years later. And that was a town that was authorised to weigh, to tax and to stamp tin for sale. And also, like I mentioned St. Petroc just now, well, St. Petroc's Church, which we still go to here if we have funerals in Bodmin, is the largest parish church in Cornwall. And I think the present building, they said, it dates back from about the 15th century, although there were earlier churches that stood there before this one. And one thing I didn't realise, actually, until I did a bit of research into this, and like the most of Europe, I mean, Bodmin was devastated by the Black Death in the mid-14th century. And they reckon that roughly half the population died then. And although Bodmin did survive, it did definitely change forever. One of the most important parts of Bodmin's history was how it was involved with the Cornish Rebellion in 1497. Or like I used to say, it was the time when Cornwall invaded England. And that was when they were rebelling against the taxations that Henry VII had imposed. And basically, I think from memory, he was trying to raise taxes for wars against Scotland. And the two that led this was Michael Joseph, who was a blacksmith, and that's where Angoff comes from. That is the Cornish for blacksmith. He was from down west, but here in Bodmin, Thomas Flamank. If I'm right from memory, I think he was a solicitor. I'll have to check that up. But they were the two main ones that actually led this rebellion. They marched all the way to London, actually, before they were defeated at Deptford Bridge. And I think I've mentioned this before, actually, because I have got downstairs a painting of them as they were heading up to England, shall we put it that way. I think then another rebellion, which they do say was one of the most traumatic events in Cornish history, was the Prayer Book Rebellion back in 1549. And Edward VI, he imposed a new Protestant English language Book of Common Prayer. And there was this big rebellion with the Cornish-speaking Catholics. They rebelled. Bodmin again become the centre of resistance. And the rebellion, it was just crushed. I think around 4,000 people were killed. Cornish religious traditions were just shattered. And I think that's when the start of the Cornish language started to decline. Then, of course, we have Bodmin Jail. That was built in 1779. And back then, it was one of the earliest modern prisons. And one thing I didn't know was that French prisoners of war actually helped to build it. And because we all know that over the time they had the executions, they had the hangings there. And the building's still there today. It's meant to be haunted, actually. It's a bit of a tourist attraction now and a hotel, but it's quite an imposing building when you're looking down at it. And then, of course, another imposing building, the other side of town, is the barracks there, which was home for the Duke of Cornwall's light infantry. And I mean, the regiments there from Cornwall over the years, they did a lot of service in both world wars and everything. And there was loads of soldiers that went through there over the years. So that just gives you a little bit of an idea of the history of Bodmin and what an important town it was in years gone by here in Cornwall. I'll definitely go into it more in the future. So for those of you that do live away, I'll try and perhaps do an episode where I just choose one or two of those bits and go into more detail. But it's changed a lot over the years. It really has. But like I say, I will go into it more in future episodes. But now we will go over to Ken. I mean, Ken have lived in Bob now for a long time, but he didn't come from there originally, which you will hear. I think Ken is nearly 92 now, and he's got some lovely memories. So we'll go over to Ken now, and then I will come back to you directly with me Cornish little bits. So here it is. Get on, Ken. How be knacking?
I'm doing very well, thank you, David.
Proper job. Lovely. It's brilliant to meet you today. I think, should we start right at the beginning, perhaps where you was born, mother and father and everything?
Like, I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. So where was he born to then?
That's Panter's Bridge, which is near Mount.
And what was mother and father's names then?
Harold Thomas and Ivy Irene.
Right, okay. Were they local to that area then, or no?
Dad was, I would say, Snowston way.
Yeah, I would say.
He's got brothers and sisters, mainly Snowston, so I guess he came from that way.
Was you was born there?
I was born at Panter's Bridge.
How long did you stay there before you moved then?
We moved out to St. Tudy Parish when Dad worked for Mr. Ray, Trengolf Farm.
Right. Yeah.
When I was 10, I remember going to St. Maben. We lived in St. Maben Paris, a place called Badrigan, near Longstone.
Yeah, that's right. So with going to school, because I've always known you as Ken, but Mother said was you John?
Kenneth John, actually.
You and Kenneth John. Brothers and sisters, son?
2 sisters older than me, both deceased. Phil was the eldest, and she was the late 80s when she died, and my sister, Jean, she died about 4 years ago. So she lived till she was over 90.
Can you remember much about your young days?
I remember trout fishing.
All right.
Rivers were lovely fish back in those days. My dad would load the fishing line, put on a worm, because it'd be worm and a hook,
Yeah.
and send me off. And then there was a little late, there's the main foy goes down from, so we'll say, Bodmin Moor, down through Orlegan, down through the valley, and through Panter's Bridge. But then there's also, they did a diversion with the river to get it to run the water mill.
All right.
So that came in, the diversion. So I remember trout fishing in that one in particular. Yeah, that was a great fishing with Burnley Masters, a lovely old
yes.
deceased also.
So where did you do your schooling till then?
I was in Mount until I was 10, and then I went to St. Maben.
Yeah. With Mount and that, was the juries there? Were they the undertakers and that?
My cousin, my mother's brother's daughter, Hoopers they were.
Yeah.
Shirley, she was a Hooper, but she married a jury.
Yeah.
And we always keep in contact. Yeah.
So was there any shops or much then in Mount?
So there was the post office and a bit of a shop.
Yeah.
There was also another shop in Mount.
Was there? Yeah. What's that? Groceries and all that, was it?
Yeah.
And travel those days, car or no?
I can't remember us having a car.
No.
Until we went to St. Maben to live.
So it was walking, a lot of it, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I remember my mother taking me to school when I was like 4. I started when I was 4. That's how brainies I am, I started early. I was pouring a bit, I suppose. So, but we walked to school and she'd fetch me for quite a distance,
Yeah. Was it a small school or no?
Well, yeah, I don't suppose there's, I can't, and I remember the dentist, and the dentist, if you had dentistry, you'd be out if the weather was all right. I can only remember the dentist out in the schoolyard.
Really?
Outside.
Yeah. Okay.
There'd be only 2 classes there, of course. We used to do a lot of gardening as well. We had back in those days, you would learn gardening at school.
So then when you went to St. Maben school, you was about 10 then, did you say?
I was 10 then,
Yeah, okay.
But I failed my 11 class for grammar school, but that didn't bother me. I wanted to be a motor mechanic, you see.
Yeah, I see.
And I achieved that as well.
And that's the school right next to the church. It's still there now.
Yeah, the school is, yes.
That's right, yeah. So what did you get up to, like St. Maben and playing and that? Was there...
Well, I love football. I was quite into football. And, I don't know, back in those days, you made your own fun and studied birds a lot and that sort of thing. Yeah, animals and love that country, that real country life, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. So what age did he leave school then?
I must have been well in my 15s. I remember starting work 1950, but late in the year, about September, I think.
Right.
Well, I was well in my 15s, so I loved school, and I was in no hurry to leave. When I did leave, I went to work for Willis's Garage in Bodmin.
Oh, right, yeah.
And of course, I cycled down from Trisara to Dunmere and then come up. But I used to stay with an aunt and uncle.
Right.
Wonderful they were. Victor Marius, mum and dad.
Oh, yes, I know. Yeah.
It's from Monday till Friday, and then I'd go home Fridays. And they were wonderful people. Auntie May was a sister to my mother, you see.
Yeah, I see.
And Uncle Gilbert as well. They were like parents.
Yeah.
They really were.
So what was your job in at Willis's?
Apprentice mechanic.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I did my time. had to do national service. I was deferred, and then I had to do 2 years national service. So,
I see.
and then I wanted the RAF, and I got into the RAF. Basic training was, I can't think of the name of it. It's just outside of London, and then I was posted to Felixstowe,
Right.
in Suffolk, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I used to play football for the RAF on Wednesday, and for Felixstowe Town on the Saturday.
Really? Was that engineering in the RAF?
I was a motor mechanic and driver.
Right.
I'd go to different places to pick up officers usually. There was a place called Bawdsey. I remember going there, and other side of Bawdsey was another RAF something or other.
Right.
And I used to interchange, mainly to driving them, really, when I think of it.
Yeah.
But also doing it, keeping the hand in, if you like.
Yeah.
Because I just finished my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to lose that.
So that was 2 years.
That was 2 years, yeah. And during that 2 years, we had the Suez crisis.
Oh, right.
So all of a sudden, I had orders to report to such a place in London. So I had to get a ticket from the train and get down to London. And then, of course, I went to Egypt. I remember some of it quite distinctly. We were on a landing ship tank, LSTs, as they called them.
Yeah.
It was a flat bottom with vehicles. So I was a driver and I was at a vehicle.
Yeah.
It was about 10 days to get to Malta. We went to Malta to start with.
Right.
Again, we were happy. We were living alongside the canal in Cairo. We went in after it was taken by the Marines, I think. And there was 1 or 2 dead bodies. And it was all strange to me to see a dead body beside of the harbour wall. It was a bit of a shock to us, like a 21-year-old, if you like. You feel sorry right away for the family and varieties. But we were there for a few weeks and then told to get on, really.
So then back to the UK?
Back to and then back to work, I suppose,
Was that Willis's again?
Yeah.
So where was they to in Bodmin then?
Up near the clock.
Oh, right.
As soon as you come out from White Bridge, as soon as you come around the corner to come on the street, there's quite a big property on the left there. There's cottages and there's a big building there.
I know, yeah. In there.
Because I went on to drive a coach. I was qualified then, and having done the 5 years previous to national service, worked with Howard Williams. He was so thorough. Oh, he was very thorough. I know the family very well now.
Yeah.
Or at least what he's left behind. He didn't have the family of his own, children of his own, and his wife. He was aunt and uncle to another family. Yeah.
Did they have many coaches then, or no?
6 or 7. Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah. And we used to do Royal Blue. We were on hours of Royal Blue.
Right.
So I remember going as far as London anyway, but mainly it would be to Exeter.
Right, I see.
From Newquay, you go down there with a coach 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd get in 6 o'clock, probably 7 o'clock down there, perhaps 8 o'clock, I don't know. If you were given a ticket to pick up from Newquay, you'd be down there up to Exeter and home by, soon after lunch or lunchtime.
Yeah.
But if you were given a ticket, we'll say, for Birmingham, and you go down to the hotels, or you could load up gradually over 2 or 3 hours, so you dragged it out.
Yeah.
But Newquay, if you had a ticket for Newquay, you were laughing because you don't messing around.
Yeah, exactly.
But I enjoyed it really. But the coaches, you see, back in those days, they were half cabs. The driver was up on his own.
Oh, yes.
Have you ever seen those?
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, lots of it was, nothing wrong with it, but different these days.
Yeah.
Leyland, AECs.
Of course, the roads weren't so good as they are now, or I'm forgetting up country.
No. I can't remember ever being in too long a queues.
No.
Because I suppose there wasn't so many cars on the road then.
No.
Quite an interesting life.
But how long was you with Willis's then?
I can't tell you really. It's several years after that. And then I went on with M.A. Richards and Shellnex and BP. And then I had to do training again with them. The heating is a bit different from car maintenance, but it's still engineering, I suppose.
Did you play football here in Bodmin area?
I played, in the I played Southwestern League. I played for Bodmin for a while.
Okay, yeah.
But mainly Camelford. And Whitebridge. So I've watched around a bit.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah, Southwestern League football, which was as good as in this area. I mean,
definitely.
I played at Plymouth Argyle in certain cup matches, but I don't think it was against the Argyle's first team.
No.
But it would have been a second team or third team.
Yeah. So what position did he play then?
I was either inside left or left half.
Yeah.
I could kick with both feet, so I was a natural right as a boy, but I learned to kick with my left foot, and I was even better at keeping the ball lower with my left foot. So.
Yeah. How about teammates there? Can you remember?
No. I mean, I could reel off Roy Rivers. He was quite a bit older than me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about joining Camelford when I was in my late teens or early 20s. And a lot of them were, in their 25, 30 mark. There were 3 boundaries, all gone. But Roy Rivers is the one that stands out. He was the captain. He was a real gentleman.
Yeah.
Like a hell of a good player. Well, he's gone. And the 3 boundaries. Johnny Rush, I said about Johnny Rush. Ian Hicks in goal.
Right.
All gone.
Yeah.
But see, of course, I'm the age now that I'm going to see that. But I mean, and I was one of the youngest. I'm in the team back in then. There was 1 or 2 younger than me. But you got expected.
Yeah. How old are you now?
91 and a half.
91 and a half, yeah.
Yeah. I was married at 27. When I was 27. Tessa was 20. And we lived at Queen's Crescent. 1961, I think.
Right. Was she a local maiden?
Listen to lovely, lovely family.
What was their maiden name?
Nicola. Her dad was Norman. Mum was Phyllis. Lovely, lovely people. Has had a brother called Robert, which, as I said, it died. He was killed. Did I tell you that?
No.
Well, their brother was Robert. Now, they used to go with Mum to church as kids. Well, up until more than children. And he was an apprentice engineer. I think he was just about to complete his training after 5 years. He was an engineer. He put in a girder in position. And the girder was out by a crane. They had a truck with a crane on it. And they were putting girder in position. And it was a little bit out of balance. And Robert grabbed hold of it to balance it and pulled the thing over. Killed him outright. Then Tessa died at 55.
Yeah.
Here. But they were lovely, lovely people, Mum and Dad.
So you lived Queen's Crescent, and then you had, was it 3 boys, did you have? Yeah, okay.
Richard, Michael, and Martin.
Yeah.
And of course they were old at school. And the house at Queen's Crescent, those houses, would you like to know how much they cost?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
1,560.
Really?
£1,560.
Yeah, God. Wonder what they're worth now, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you in a minute. I put down £400 and paid £10 a month mortgage. Paid it off in 7 years. I think I made it paid off because I've never been unemployed.
No.
And I paid it off anyway. But after 7 years, it was all paid for and the money in the bank as well. And then I bought this property this year for 950. Not the property, the site. Well, I reckon I built this for £15,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I put up every block here.
Really?
But I didn't do the plastering.
No.
Lots of things I didn't do. But I put up every block, and it's still working, you see. Anyway, I think what those houses now, Queen's Crescent, if you know those houses.
Yes, I do, yeah.
I got a feeling, I might get this right, around about the 200,000, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Thomas and Wales were lovely. mechanics in the town.
That's right. Yeah.
Remember them?
Father used to get all his cars from Thomas and
Lovely
Williams.
company,
Yeah.
lovely company. You could trust them, you know. Oh, Willis is where I work. They were good as go. I don't think anybody ever. I don't know if there's had complaints. Nobody's perfect, but nobody tried to rip them off.
No.
Because you didn't back in those days.
No.
You knew what was what, and you knew what did you want done, and you knew what roughly was going to cost. Good day's work. Didn't know what it was to be late for work. It's just ingrained in you, but you've got to be there, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you, Ken. That was proper. And we'll have part 2 with Ken next week. Now, I did mention that Bodmin was involved a bit with the tin trade years ago. So I thought I would find the word for tin in Cornish, which is sten, S-T-E-N, sten. And that's tin. And tinner, or a tin miner, tinner, is stenor, S-T-N-O-R, stenor. And for me Cornish dialect of the week, I don't know if this is actually Cornish or no, but you used to hear it a lot down here. It could be over other parts of the country as well, I don't know. But if somebody put something together and 'twas all shoddy workmanship, it looked like a temporary job, it didn't look like it was going to last, that sort of thing, you'd say, what a blimmin' lash up. What a blimmin' lash up. So, like I said, I don't know if it is just down here in Cornwall or no, but that's something we used to hear a lot years ago. You don't hear it so much now, like a lot of these things. But what a blimmin' lash up. I'll bet you can think of that about my podcasts every blimmin' week. But there we go. Right, well, that's enough for me for this week. I've talked too much, but I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. And I will speak to you again next week. Wish you well. Do Guinness. Carnobus Vican.